It's Thursday, the 26th of October 2023. Welcome to the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed Business News, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Adam Lang, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Adam.
Sean, story number 1 this morning. The honeymoon for the new Reserve Bank Governor Michelle Bullock may be very short-lived after inflation figures released yesterday were higher than expected.
It means the new governor may be forced into a 13th interest rate rise. Inflation unexpectedly accelerated to 1.2% in the 3 months to September as petrol prices and rents surged. The headline number was stronger than market expectations of a 1.1% rise. It means annual inflation is at 5.4%, still well above the Reserve Bank's target of 2 to 3%. Bullock on Tuesday night said she'd have no hesitation in lifting rates if inflation looked to be picking up. Perhaps of more concern is that measures of underlying inflation are also stronger. Trimmed mean inflation, which strips out volatile prices, was 1.2% in the 3 months to September, well above the Reserve Bank's forecast of 0.9%. In response to yesterday's figures, quite a few economists, including 3 of the 4 major bank economists, came out and said, yep, there's going to be a rate rise on Melbourne Cup Day. That's the 7th of November. Bond markets have now priced in a 65% chance of a hike.
So, Sean, where were all the price rises? I'm guessing that petrol was one of them.
Yeah, petrol and rents were up a lot also. They were up around 8% over the year. Insurance, electricity, education, bread and cheese, all items with prices spiked over the year. Service prices rose 5.8% in the year to the end of September quarter. That's only down slightly from its peak. That will concern the Reserve Bank. Some things actually fell in price lower. Fresh food prices, fruit and veggies were down. Meat prices were up only a little bit. Clothing, footwear prices, they were down. Bottom line in all this, Adam, anyone predicting a rate rise next month would have been supported by yesterday's data.
That's not great news for many of us, Sean. Story number 2, Australia has sent 2 additional aircraft and a significant number of personnel to the Middle East to support Australians in the region.
Defence Minister Richard Marles said that the extra resources are a contingency to support Australian populations in the region. He said the situation is volatile and it isn't clear what way it will go. Marles also urged Australians in the region to leave. Also, Australia will lift its military aid to Ukraine to $910 million after Prime Minister Anthony Albanese unveiled a fresh package made up of Australian-developed equipment to address military and medical needs. Just shifting to the global stage, French President Emmanuel Macron has proposed reviving the international coalition against the Islamic State. The US is preparing evacuation plans for up to 600,000 Americans. And the Times of Britain yesterday reported that Hamas wants to broker a ceasefire, or at least see an end to the bombing campaign in Gaza in return for the release of some hostages.
Sean, story number 3, Woolworths has announced a 5.3% jump in sales during the September quarter. And the good news is that inflation in the food business is moderating with falling prices in fresh produce and meat.
Yeah, it sort of backs up what those CPI figures said yesterday. Mind you, some products, bananas at $4.50 a kilo, a bit steep, I reckon. Though avocados at $1.30, pretty happy with that. The nation's largest supermarket chain said sales were up sharply in the first couple of months of the quarter, then the pace slowed in the third month. That could be a reflection of lower inflation. Boss Brad Banducci said demand remains resilient, although what Woolies calls saver families and young singles and couples are more focused on value products. Average prices for fruit and veggies fell by 12% due to improved growing conditions. Berries, lettuce, cucumbers, capsicum, tomatoes, they all fell materially. At Big W, sales declined 5.5%. That drop in sales, along with higher wages, means there's a bit of work to do at Big W still.
Sean, story number 4 is staggering to me. There's been an increase of 1 million families in Australia over the last decade, and that's according to the Bureau of Statistics.
In June, there were 7.5 million families. About 15% were one-parent families, and of the couple families, about 2.5% were same-sex couples. If you put that into real numbers, basically same-sex couples families has gone from 41,000 10 years ago to about 150,000 today. The Bureau was looking at families and their relationship with the labour market. One of the worrying stats was the proportion of couple families with dependents, where both parents aren't employed, increased from 3.6% to 4.1%. Also, the majority of couple families with dependents had both parents employed. Of single parent families, 63% had dependents, and 4 in 5, or more than 4 in 5, were single mum families.
Sean, story number 5. The Kremlin has denied that Vladimir Putin is ill following reports that he suffered a heart attack over the weekend.
When I first started journalism, they said, don't do stories that say nothing happened. But given Vlad's role in the world, I reckon this one's worth it. An unsourced report by a Russian Telegram channel claimed on Sunday that the Russian president had been struck by a serious illness that evening. Now, a spokesperson yesterday denied he was in poor health, according to the Telegraph of London, also refuted that he uses body doubles. Putin, a judo enthusiast, turned 71 earlier this month. Speculation the Russian leader is in declining health from cancer or Parkinson's disease was last year dispelled by the CIA, as in the American CIA, which described him as too healthy.
That's it. That's the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you very much, Adam.
It's Thursday, the 26th of October, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, then find our longer podcast called Fear and Greed on your favourite podcast platform. I'm Adam Lang, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed Business News. Have a great day.